So here's where we're at in our world at the moment. This is the next chronological piece time of our history following the Proterozoic Eon, and as we start into the new Eon, the Phanerozoic Eon. This is the Eon that we are currently living in, and the first period of this Eon was known as the Cambrian Period. It took place between 541 to 514 million years ago. So, let's get on to it. Due to all the freezing and thawing in the last eon, a lot of new critters went extinct. But that's okay, because the ones that had survived, the ones that made it, just barely hanging on, adapted to fill the niches in their environment. But this was the period when the predator and prey relationship would first be established. I guess some animals were tired of filter feeding and slurping up green goo off the ocean floor. Same, I would also get tired of that. So now the smaller animals not only needed to find ways to survive whatever the earth decided to throw at them, but they also needed a way to detect predators so they didn't get eaten. And that's good because evolution had their back. For once, yeah. And this is when animals with the first pairs of eyeballs pop up in the fossil records. Now, there would be two distinct body types that animals would take on in order to survive. They were either this or they were that. The first group would have an armor-like exterior to act as, armor. And this was really the start of the arthropods. The other group would develop a flexible, lean body to allow for more agility, mobility, and speed. And this group were also the world's very first invertebrates, meaning these little worm thingy-bajigs are technically our ancestor. So that's cool. This evolutionary race between animals to keep trying to one-up one another led it to the Cambrian explosion. From 541 to 516 million years ago, this quote-unquote explosion was taking place. It was an explosion of life and diversity, because some species were becoming predators and a lot of new environmental niches were popping up that needed to be filled. The oceans literally exploded with new life, more complex than we had ever seen before up to this point. A group of arthropods called radiodonts really started dominating the oceans. This means being squishy just wasn't going to cut it anymore. This is when the small shelly fauna, I did not come up with that name, experts actually did, popped up, like gastropods and trilobites. Some other guys that started showing up around this time were these fish-like animals, as well as echinoderms like sea stars and sea cucumbers. Also, the world's very first corals popped up during this time as well. They just obviously weren't as widespread as they are today. But up to this point, the ocean was still lacking a very important niche that needed to be filled: the apex predator. But leave it to the arthropods, because they're about to take over for a good little bit. And they did this by getting big. Well, big by Cambrian standards. Every animal that I have mentioned up to this point was only like a few centimeters long at best. And I'm about to butcher this guy's name, but Anomalocaris, was a monster in comparison. It was roughly a meter long and definitely filling the apex predator role. It's still not that big, but it's bigger than everything else by a pretty big margin. It had long spike appendages. I think it's this guy here and the big guy there in this picture. It had big spike appendages as its main weapon, and it probably had the best eyesight around. Everything was on the menu for this guy, at least for a little while, because as you'll see in future episodes, everything just starts getting bigger. But But yeah, right at the moment, it is the apex predator of the ocean. During this period, many animals popped up. Like I said, it was an explosion of life. I've only talked about very few of them, okay? But by the end of this period, a lot of that new life would go extinct as we would go through another mass extinction. We don't know as to why this happened, but there are a few theories. There could have been another round of glaciation. Maybe there's another dip in O2. However, I don't believe in either of those because we had plenty of plant life for photosynthesis and whatnot. That would keep those two theories, from happening. Although they still could happen, that's just not what I believe happened. No, what I believe is this last theory, and that was extreme volcanic activity. Because at this time, there was a lot of tectonic plate movement, a lot of plates colliding, creating the first mountain ranges, and yes, volcanoes as well. I think it makes more sense for volcanic activity, to be the reason why all that life went extinct. Because the lava would have gotten into the ocean, making it incredibly acidic. But I guess we'll never know. Now, speaking of tectonic plates, let's get on to the continents. What is the world looking at by the end of the Cambrian? Well, by the end of the last eon, the Proterozoic, this is what is believed the world looked like. And it is the big supercontinent Rodinia. Well, it doesn't look like that by the late Cambrian. A lot of things have changed. Now, Rodinia is gone. The supercontinent is gone, and this is what it looks like right here. So, Rodinia, the only things really remaining of Rodinia is those three little islands in the center there. Laurentia, that's mostly North America, and then there's modern-day Baltica and Siberia, and then there's the big landmass on the bottom, the big supercontinent Gondwana. Yeah, and this was made up of a lot of continents and countries today, like Africa, Antarctica, Arabia, India, and Australia. There's also some little states like Florida there. You see England and Wales was there. And then randomly across the way, up in the northwestern hemisphere, North China is all the way over there. But South China is over here in Gondwana. Man, the world was weird then. It's so cool talking about plate tectonics and whatnot. It was really cool. But anyways, this was our world. This is what our planet looked like at the time, 514 million years ago. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Leave a comment of what you thought and hit the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos and all the great stuff. I truly do appreciate it, and I truly hope you are enjoying the series and all the great stuff. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Have a great day. Peace.